Two-time Hall of Fame inductees, Brent Godarzi and Marty Young. Back-to-back #1 trucking firm in the nation. Back-to-back best attorney and best law firm in East Texas.
Welcome, folks, to the very first 2025 Gilmer Buckeyes coaching show with your head coach and athletic director of the Gilmer Buckeyes, Alan Metzel. Well, Alan, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but welcome to 2025.
Pretty crazy. It just doesn't even sound right saying that.
It doesn't. I was thinking about it this morning that you've been at this about as long as we've been at this, which is right at 25 years now. I'm not sure if I'm excited or depressed, but at the end of the day, it's nice to look back and see some of the things that have been established that you think are going to last a long time and have a lot of impact. I know that's really what your program is about. One of the ways that you do that every single year from the very beginning when Coach Traylor got here in 2000 was you select a motto each year. Tell us a little bit about this year, that tradition, and how you got to this year's motto.
You know, it's very much a collaborative effort. And it's not something we choose quickly. It takes time. And we try and heavily involve our seniors and specifically the Leadership Council. And we're trying to think through things. Okay, let's start throwing out words, throwing out names and phrases, those kind of things that are, one, going to be something we think reflects our team, two, that is going to connect with our school, and three, our whole community is going to be able to embrace it to where they're proud to have that on their T-shirt or their cap, or that our cheerleaders have incorporated into cheers and so forth. And so it's bigger than just just us, and we recognize that. And so the guys really take it serious. And so we went through several weeks. We kind of got eight or nine things out there. We went from 8 or 9, and I kind of have the ones I like, and I toss those out there. But I have to be careful. It's not my senior year. It's not my junior team. I'll have another one next year, whatever. But I have things that I think, and I throw those out there. But then I want their thoughts and so forth. And so as we went along, we went several weeks. The guys talk about it, and they're all, whatever you call it, chatting back and forth, whatever. And so here they are back and forth, and we narrow it down to about 3. And then it gets serious, and our talks get a little more intense and so forth. And when everything's settled, they wanted family, and that was them. That wasn't the one I suggested. Which is great. In fact, I like it because it came from them. And it's one we've had before. 2015 had it. And they asked, does that matter? I said, no, if you can tell me why you want it, if that's what means the most to you. And they were just adamant, that we want family. And I think that's fantastic. I think it pretty much captures what we're trying to do here in the field house. It pretty much captures what we're trying to do in that school building up there, where with all the programs, and that the programs aren't fighting against each other. The programs complement each other, and we're all cheering for each other. And I think it complements our town, and out there on Friday nights, this place is unique. It's unique, and you have people from all walks of life and all ages, and I'll have some gentlemen come in here in the summer. They'll come by the field house, and they've been, they graduated here in 52 or whatever it was, and they'll be telling me about playing out here, and a lump gets in their throat and a tear's in their eye, and they can't wait to pick out somebody to adopt and adopt a Buckeye. That's the kind of stuff that I think is special. And I think our kids, our athletes, our students, I think they are at a place where they're getting that. And they're recognizing the benefit of the heritage they've received, and they're embracing it. So I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought especially with this group of kids that it was just completely fitting. and it didn't shock me when it came out. I was with you. I was going a totally different direction, but I was happy that they, after 25 years, it's something that it defines them.
It does.
And they take it that way and seriously, and it just means that what you're doing is working.
Well, it's exciting to me because there's so much we can go off of. There's obviously when you have a family, it doesn't mean that everything's great all the time, but there's a permanency that is encompassed in the idea of family that you push through and you love anyway, and maybe you don't like them, but you love them, those kind of things. And so there's just a sense of some things that are bigger than us that we're going to be able to tap into and shoot for, that I think are going to sharpen us throughout the year.
Well, it was going to be an interesting year for sure. As I was kind of thinking through today and thinking about, this is one of those years where from the outside looking in, you got a lot of new things, new faces, but from the inside looking out, not much changed. There's a real familiarity about it. Talk a little bit about that juxtaposition, both from your staff standpoint, because you've had new additions to your staff, which are old additions, and in terms of players and positions, lots of maybe new names for Buckeye fans that are out there at different spots, and we'll talk about those, but none of them that are really kind of unexpected. We've seen this coming from the time they were in 6th, 7th grade all the way up until now. And it's exciting when that happens because you've been waiting a long time, but it seems to be their time.
I agree. So to start with the staff position, Coach Kerry Lane got hired as the head coach at New Diana. We're excited for him, and he was ready to get back to being a head coach, and so thrilled for him, cheering for him, which left us an opening here. And we were able to reach back into our connections and got Wayne Coleman, who has been a head coach at multiple places. He coached here from 07 to 14, was a huge part of our defensive staff. Now, Wayne played quarterback as an offensive guy, head coach, called plays forever, but when he was here, he was over there and was a unique gift on that side of the staff. And so we hired him to be the quarterback coach for us. Tons of experience. He's so good with young men and training them up, teaching details, teaching the big picture. A guy that has no ego. He's brilliant, very, very respected everywhere, in the state of Texas. So we had a grand slam on that one, to have someone of his caliber, plus they were a Buckeye, that's a big deal. And then Jaden Parrish, who played fullback for us and coached for us, he took the offensive coordinator job at West Rusk. So, we're excited for him. And both these guys, as they come through your staff and through your system, you expect other schools to want to hire these guys. That's actually a compliment to our school. And so he's going to go and get to spread his wings a little bit. And so in his place, you talk about the familiarity again. We have Blevin Burns, who played for us, who's been coaching for us. We're able to plug him in. We took Coach Colton Traylor, who's been here, just shifted him over to the fullbacks, put Coach Burns in where Coach Traylor was, hired Nick McNeil at our junior high to take Blevin's place, who's been volunteering for the past couple of years. So, it just was a click move and very seamless, and excited about all those additions and the things that those guys are going to bring to our staff.
Yeah, just being around, it's felt very much like just the kind of natural progression. Like I say, pleasantly informed, but not surprised by any of it.
No.
Everything just kind of feels like it makes sense. It feels like a pair of shoes that's already kind of broken in. I hope that's how everything goes, because from a player side, you've got pretty much the same challenges. You got kind of the familiar names. We'll start at the quarterback position. You got Zay Taylor, who was the one of the leading cogs in the wheel at running back last year. Played some backup quarterback, and now he's going to inherit the reins for the next couple of years. And that's another one that I think you looked at and said, boy, we've kind of known that was coming for a while.
Well, he was the guy in the 7th grade. He was the guy in the 8th grade. He was the guy for the 9th grade. Last year, we moved him over to running back because he's so explosive. He needed to be on the field, and was the newcomer of the year for the whole district. So now his newcomer of the year needs to transition into running our offense. And he's doing a real good job, as you can see in the scrimmages. He's throwing the ball well. We haven't even really scratched the surface of his running ability. That will come. He's done a few to get a first down for us, but just a phenomenal runner of the ball in open space. He's tough to get his hands on. When you're related to DeMarco and Chris Boyd, you know you can run the ball. So he has a lot of those skills. But the thing that I would say, there's two things about Zaid. One is he's a baller. When you put it in his hands, he's like a point guard, and he knows where everybody is, and he's one of those guys that can be running and all of a sudden throw it over there, or he knows the guy's there. He just has an incredible feel, which is a great talent, and it's not one that's easy to teach. There's a lot of innateness there. The second thing is he's just a natural leader. When he was in the elementary, if he went to the water fountain, everybody went with him to the water fountain. When he went in the lunch line, everybody was with him in the lunch line. Those are very, very important components to being your quarterback. That who's following, and he's got that natural gift. So we're excited about what he's got ahead of him this year.
Well, he's going to be surrounded by different weapons, pieces, but some of the same pieces, right?
Right.
So everybody on the senior side, from Solomon Jackson to Trace Haynes and those guys who were role players a couple of years ago. But this senior class is a little bit different too, because they still have the taste from 2023 in their mouths as sophomores. And now, there's an expectation that's built into those guys.
And they know how to do it. They know how to be selfless. They know how to play that long. They know how to do a lot of the things that many teams that they're trying to get there, you're telling them, but they're having to trust that, that may work. These guys have done it. So, you're talking about a Davion King who created the fumble against Carthage. You're talking about Trey Lee, who's the one who recovered that fumble. You're talking about Tyler Hagler, who, was two-time all-state defensive tackle coming back. So we've got talent. We have people. We have 26 lettermen returning, So, yeah, when they put those things out in the magazines, we have one returning starter on offense and 3 on defense. Okay. But we play tons of people.
Right.
It's not like they were sitting over there on the stands, or over on the sideline not playing. And so many of these guys, their role is just ticking up to where they'll have more plays, they'll have more opportunities. And then you have an influx of some of the younger guys, Tavian Horn, who's going to step in and help at running back with Tavian Hector. You're talking about a Gage Trosbach, who's going to come in and help with Trace and Solomon, in the receiver core, Maury Garrett. Some of these guys that are younger that are starting to come in, and that's not even having mentioned Ismail Kamara, and then Van Songer has moved in as well. His family moved to Gilmer. So guys like that are pieces that are fitting in, that maybe they haven't met them yet, but they're gonna get to know them this year.
Yeah, and for the kids and for the coaches and for the program, they've been here.
Yes.
Right. I mean, there's no surprise that they're gonna step up. And Ismail having to sit out last year, you kind of knew that Van was coming in, also a sophomore. A really unique blend. But the one thing that Buckeye fans have heard about and asked me about all the time, and I think it's probably because all the kudos on the defensive line side, that the 2025 Buckeyes coming into the season were ranked the #1 defensive line in the state in terms of what they bring to the party. I know that there have been times in our past when the Buckeyes have walked on the field and you've kind of looked over at whoever's on the other side and said, wow, I would love to have some of those guys on our team.
Really big people. Yeah.
There's some huge humans.
Yeah. Whereas this year it looks different. When you brought up the defensive line, you've got guys like Jet Bates, and Matt Granville and Davion King and Trey Lee. And, then you've got Taj Bush and Ismail and Rashad Buchanan. Those are big people. I mean, they're big people. And so that's not even talking about our offensive line, which is going to be humongous. So, yeah, I feel like the years we're able to match up with some of these other schools that are, trying to win a state championship every year, whether it be a Carthage or a PG or a Belleville, those kind of that we got to be able to match them in the trenches. Our skill guys, we typically are going to have enough to match people there. But that element, some years we have it and some years we don't. This year, I think we've got a really strong group on those two lines, and we're going to try and play to them and allow them to take us to great heights.
Well, when you've got a Hagler that's been there all state, done that, and now this is his time to shine as the senior on both sides of the ball. But he's not by himself.
No.
You've got a lot of young guys that are actually going to be around for a while. How does that approach from a coaching standpoint, knowing that, look, we're not just big for the first time in a long time, and we're huge, but we're going to be huge for a while. So how does that, in terms of your offensive background and play calling and offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach all the way back to the very beginning since we've run this system, really, it's no secret, Gilmer's not changed in 25 years in terms of what we do. We do a lot of things differently because you've been here moving the pieces, playing to our strengths. But this is maybe the first time in a long time, maybe ever, that we've had this specific strength of we should be able to control the trenches for any game. I think I told somebody in church the other day, he said, "What's that mean?" And I said, "Well, it probably means that before 10 o'clock you'll be in line at the Dairy Queen."
And I get your line of questioning here, and it's very valid and quite frankly very true. So, for many years, our paradigm, if you would, was we're going to sling it around, score as fast as we can, as much as we can, whatever, because of the skills people that we had, and we're trying to stretch the field horizontally and vertically and so forth, and we still want to accomplish those things, and we still want to use tempo to our advantage. But when you're able to, if you can dominate the lines, if you can control the lines, you really have the opportunity to control the game. And so now when the weather's not good, now when you're a little bit off, it's like being in basketball, being an outside shooting team versus a great defensive team.
Right.
If you're a great defensive team, you're good every night, and your shooting can, do well. But if you're counting on your shooting, you're going to be off one night. It's going to be hitting the rim and whatever, and you hate for that to be against a good team in third round of the playoffs. So it tilts it into a way where you're going to be a little bit more methodical, and so it may not be as flashy. But W is a lot more flashy than L, is the way I see it. And so we're going to look to that. And so, for some people, they like glitz and flash and whatever. To me, you play to your strength. And where is your strength? That's where we want to be. And so, yeah, the style could, I think you'll see a little bit different way that we do it. The key is that we want to do it well.
Right. Right. Well, I know, too, that your philosophy since you've been here, which has been unparalleled in terms of the success, in terms of where we land, you've said a million times, hey, it ain't about how you drive, it's how you arrive, right? Exactly. It's all about where are you in late October, November, and then hopefully into December.
Exactly.
And so your strategy has been, hey, I'm not worried about trying to run the table and impress anybody. I'm worried about exposing our weaknesses and turning them into strengths. And the best way to do that is load up the schedule with a bunch of punch above your weight class, 5A, schools, et cetera, and go try to expose yourself.
Correct.
Strategy hadn't changed, right? So
Correct.
Talk about a little bit about given that who we are going to be for the next couple of years as an identity. It seems like this is really the best time with the schedule that we have to truly go figure out, is that who we are? What is our identity?
Right. No, I agree. I'll say this. For example, our two scrimmages. And when you're new, let's say you come into a school and you're trying to change the culture and you're trying to get an excitement going or whatever. Well, you're trying to play to win the scrimmage because you're trying to get everybody excited and get to believe you and that kind of thing. Well, when you've had some time and you're a little bit more established, you don't necessarily have to do scrimmages that way. And I'm starting there, and I'll move into our preseason schedule. So, like, we scrimmage Paris and White House. Well, you're talking about two really good teams. One's a 4A Division I that's really good and battles Salina and, Anna. They lost to Anna 2 years ago.
And crazy
by
athletes.
a point.
Yeah.
So we scrimmaged them the other night. Well, in their one, they're talented. And two, they run an extreme defense. They run basically Salina's old 10-1, on defense. Well, because it's such an extreme defense, you really have to game plan to go against it. It's not just a normal thing. The way they blitz people, their rules and everything, there are things you can do to manipulate their rules, but you have to game plan it. We don't game plan a bit for it. None. Not 5 minutes.
Right.
Now, as a result, there's some ugliness. But in your first scrimmage, it's okay. It's okay because we're dealing, part of what you're dealing with, especially early in the year, is how are we handling adversity? How are we handling when it's not great? How are you handling coaching when you're struggling? You can only go so far in a practice to get practice at that. And so, it's not like we go out there with the intention of failing. We still want to win regardless. But it's going to be ugly, and it's going to have difficulty, and you're going to play people that sometimes won't play later in the season, but you're evaluating them and you put them on film and you're going, hey man, you see, you're not getting this done, and that's why you're not in the game, those kind of things. And it always is, it's almost comical to me because I get people coming up panicking after a scrimmage and they're going, what is going on? What's the problem? And I'm like, it's a scrimmage, and this is what we do in a scrimmage, and we're working to take steps. And I think you could see from week 1 to week 2, we took steps. We were much cleaner. We cut down on snap issues. We cut down on infractions. We had multiple extended drives. And even people go, well, but we didn't finish the drive. Yeah, we weren't calling our red zone plays. We're just calling off of a sheet. We're going down the line to make sure we're getting certain plays run that we can get them on film and look at them. And get better. So scrimmages, they're really not fair to fans because you'd have to be in here to know whether or not you did well. The other night, we took a good step. I can tell you, we took a good step. Now, after Friday, everybody can have at it. They can say whatever they want. You either take care of it or you don't. But so getting into the preseason schedule, very difficult teams to play. Teams that have programs, teams that have talent, teams that have won at a high level, and that's going to put pressure on us for 5 weeks in a row. You're not going to be able to go, well, we can ease up this week. No, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to, after you're sore and tired and exhausted and feel like, I need a breather or whatever, you're just going to have to keep grinding. And to me, that's what develops the toughness to be able to make a run as you get on into the playoffs. So, we're going to be challenged. We are. I'm not going to tell anybody what I think our record will be in 5 games. I don't know yet. I don't know.
Well, the point is, the way you've set it up, it doesn't matter, right? What matters is
the long game.
Exactly.
Right.
It's all about getting to a point where do we get into the tournament, and then are we well positioned to say survive in advance, survive in advance,
Right.
survive in advance? Of course,
Right.
when you played in 3 out of 5 state championship games, people don't really argue with you as much.
Well, I don't know. but that's okay.
But at the beginning, when you're looking at our schedule, there's a purpose.
Right.
Right. And the purpose truly, and I kind of get blue in the face saying it around the community too sometimes, but it's a marathon. Mm-hmm. It's not a sprint.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
we're built probably better now than we have been in years past, mm-hmm. when if one little nick happened
mm-hmm.
to one little guy, mm-hmm. kind of the wheels come off of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And for the next couple of years in foreseeable future, part of that is with the trenches, but part of that is the compliments around being able to run like that. People ask, well, why is Carthage so good every year? That's what they do. Mm-hmm. They control the trenches, mm-hmm. they control the game, and they limit your opportunities to
Correct.
beat them.
They shorten the game.
That's right.
Right, because they're able to play good defense and they can run. Now, they get flash plays when they take big plays and so forth, but it all comes down, when you beat them, it's because you're able to stop their run game and you're able to run against them. When we got them in 2023, we had watched them in every game the whole season. So we're playing them in round 4, and they had punted 4 times
all
on
year.
The season.
Yeah,
4 times, and we stopped them 6 times that night. So you have to be able to match them there to beat a team like that. And so you always have to go into a season going, how can we get the teams that you have to beat to get there? And they're one of them, no doubt.
Well, when you look at the first 5 weeks, to your point, it's kind of murderer's row. But for this year's team, probably not going to be anybody bigger than us.
I wouldn't
probably
say
not going to be
size-wise.
anybody maybe more physical than we can be. And probably to your point, how do we learn how to go say, we're going to win this game because
Right.
a lot of times we got kids that are doing their job and they've coached up and they've got great football IQ, but having that click, there's only one way to do it, and that's to go do it.
Right.
And to say, wow, we won that game because we could run the ball, we moved the chains, and we didn't turn it over. Wow.
No doubt.
And you can make some hay after those first 5 weeks,
Correct.
but not until you've lined it up and gone and seen it one way or the other, because there's nothing to learn from.
Right. So we've got 5 real markers in our preseason. I mean, they're very real, from Pine Tree all the way through Brenham. And each week we're going to have our head down and we're looking at that week. And I think when you can create that mindset, you get better. You get better, as opposed to when you're here and you're looking way down there, and you create a false sense of where you are. And so here we go.
Well, it's going to be an interesting year. I'm really looking forward to it because I think that from your standpoint, there's been a method, and the method, we've got all the ingredients to cook the cake. Then the better ingredients for this recipe has never been as good as it is now.
I agree.
And so I'm looking forward. I've seen the steps between the first day and scrimmage 1, and then scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2, and now to Pine Tree. Let's talk a little bit about Pine Tree, the little revenge factor. They came in here, and we were there, we're everybody's Super Bowl. But they came to Gilmer last year and got out here with a win.
They did.
So there's a little bit of something that we owe them when we go over there.
Sure.
What are we expecting to see from Pine Tree that is kind of a juxtaposition to last year, when a lot of people say, oh, well, we caught Gilmer by surprise? That was a talented team.
Yeah, they went 2 rounds deep in the 4A Division I. They were a talented team. They're talented again this year. They're big again this year. They are well coached. They now have a program. That they're 7-8 years into having a program, and so much like us or a Carthage or a PG or whatever, the names change, but they have people that'll step in and do a great job for them. So we know as a coaching staff, they're gonna be tough. They're gonna run the counter. They're gonna run the power. That's what they do. They're gonna play action off of it and throw it deep. That's what they do offensively. That's who they are. Defensively, they're a 4-2-5 team. They like to run cover 2. They like to bring their safety down in the backside alley and go cover 3 some. So we recognize, we're watching the things they do. But more than the scheme, they're trying to be physical. That's, we're saying that we want to win and be the most physical team. Well, they're saying the exact same thing. And so it's going to be fun. It's going to be mano a mano, and may the toughest team win. The team that goes and seizes that line is going to be the team that ends up coming out on top.
I think watching the film, the way that they play, especially on the defensive side of the ball, it's all about simplicity, right? They don't do anything.
They don't move a lot.
They don't do anything real crazy or sexy. No. It's going to be kind of
they get lined up right, and then they just go play hard.
So I expect a real smash mouth game.
Yes.
I know our kids are certainly fired up to go over there. Take us through this week and what are the keynotes? So JV and varsity were over there. So we're at Pine Tree Stadium, big nice new stadium over in Longview.
Varsity is 9th grade and JV will play here Thursday night against their 9th grade and JV. So that'll be Thursday. Our varsity will play there Friday night. Monday through Wednesday, we'll be doing we're into now our weekly grind and what we do. We're here at 7 in the morning, and we're going to get in our first practice in the morning. We'll come back after school. We'll hit our second practice. We'll be working our special teams. And right now, the wheels are in motion. And so it's just a matter of making improvement, not confusing activity with accomplishment.
Right. So Wednesday, Coach's Luncheon.
Coach's Luncheon.
Out at the Country Club.
Correct.
By the way,
Burgers.
Swanner Burgers are back to Gilmer, Texas. So
That's
I
a
know
good
that there's
thing.
been a major impact for those of us who grew up
here.
injecting it into our veins. It's back.
I already had one yesterday.
I've had 5.
There you go.
And by the way, it's exactly the same. Different location, but same people, same grill. Actually, the same grill. So if you wanna do your soul a little bit good for a Gilmer Buckeye, head on out for the Coach's Luncheon, 12 o'clock, correct?
Yes, sir.
On Wednesday, we'll be out there. You'll get to talk to Coach Metzel and sometimes members of the staff one-on-one, get a little inside view before the week starts. So week 1, here we go, right?
Here we go.
We're excited about it. 7:30 against Pine Tree, right? Over in Longview, Friday night. Get there early. The Buckeye fans are always, we got a reputation for getting there early and being real loud. And we will see what 2025 holds for our family.
Here we go.
Here we go. Great to see you, Buckeye Nation. Football's back. We will see you next week, 7:30 Friday night in Pine Tree. Go Buckeyes.